And for more, let's go to Dublin now. France 24 business editor Stephen Carroll thought he could escape for some Christmas break, but no. We have a deal on Christmas Eve, it seems, Stephen. And we heard several times, as Benedict Badiou, our correspondent in London, has been telling us, Johnson roll out that old line about the UK taking back control. From what you've heard so far, is it true?
I mean, I think Boris Johnson is very much trying to sell the deal that he's negotiated, and it's true that the UK will have more control over its fishing waters, as we've been hearing, but it will have to continue to engage with the EU on what's going to happen to fishing rights afterwards. A lot of this deal is really about maintaining that word which we heard a lot about. It seems like a long time ago now in the negotiations, equivalence, which is maintaining standards that are, seem to be the same level both in the UK and the EU, and the efforts not to undercut each other, what's known as the level playing field, was one of the key issues that ran right to the end of the negotiations. Both sides will sell this as a win for themselves. It does seem like that both sides did give some ground in negotiations, as would be normal in this situation. Here in Dublin, where I am, the government is welcoming this latest news of a deal, a post-Brexit trade deal with the UK. The Taoiseach, the Prime Minister here, Micheal Martin, calling it a good compromise and a balanced outcome for Ireland. He again underlined that Ireland didn't want Brexit to happen. They didn't want the UK to leave the European Union, but that they hoped that they would be able to work together in the future as well. Micheal Martin speaking to Boris Johnson earlier this morning before the announcement of this deal, he said that the UK will always be a close friend and partner to Ireland. There was a particular note also in Micheal Martin's statement for the negotiators. He thanked Ursula von der Leyen, the EU Commission President, Maros Šefčovič, the Vice President of the European Commission, and particularly had words for Michel Barnier, the EU's chief negotiator, who's become somewhat of a celebrity here in Ireland in recent years because of his central role in the Brexit negotiations and his repeated insistence of the peace on the island of Ireland and maintaining that peace being a central part of the negotiating principles. It was actually the first thing that he said when he spoke on that press conference today, is that the deal has achieved being able to keep peace on the island of Ireland. Micheal Martin's statement saying, "We owe Michel a debt of gratitude. Ireland has constantly been in his thoughts, and I know from what he has told me, in his heart, and we hold him close in ours as well." So some pre-Christmas wishes there for Michel Barnier coming from the Irish government and all of this too.
Yeah, because just how big is the relief on both sides of the border in Northern Ireland?
I think it's relief, but nobody popping champagne corks here about this either, because even with this tariff-free and quota-free access between the UK and EU markets, there will still be big changes for business from January 1st. They will have customs formalities and red tape to fulfill now that they didn't have to fulfill before. That's a key concern for Irish exporters here. Ireland exports 13 billion euros worth of goods to the UK every year, and that will mean that people have to change their business practices. They're going to have more work to do if they're going to export into the UK market. The government here has spent a huge amount of money, not only on trying to ensure businesses get ready, but on a massive public information campaign about what will change after the 1st of January. Whether or not there was a trade deal, there were still going to be big changes to make. One of the issues that came up this week is the issue of how goods are transported from the European Union to Ireland, because the majority of them go through the United Kingdom, what's known as the land bridge. And of course, with the closure of the ports for transport to and from the continent, that had been a huge issue too for Irish truck drivers. There are 150,000 Irish trucks that make that journey between Ireland and the continental Europe via the UK every year, and that's going to be an issue in the future, depending on what sort of checks are going to have to be done at those ports. Of course, the issue of Northern Ireland, which was so central earlier on in these negotiations, was largely, at least, resolved, and certainly, resolved is a strong way of putting it, but was dealt with in the treaty text of the withdrawal agreement. So that wasn't so much of a focus of the free trade agreement, although a free trade agreement will help to facilitate continued passage of goods across the Irish Sea between Northern Ireland, the Republic of Ireland, and Great Britain. So there is some help there as well, but there still are going to be big changes from January 1st. Many businesses here have already had to prepare for them, but are just glad that they're not facing a worse situation from the 1st of January.
Stephen Carroll in Dublin, many thanks for that update.